The Legend of Zelda has all kinds of strange beings, and today we're going to take a look at the Dekus. Since in some games they are nowhere to be found, and in others they have completely turned evil and worship Ganon. So let's go through the timeline and see what happened to the Dekus. Let's start at the beginning of the timeline. The first game where we saw them was in The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. Business scrubs can be found throughout Hyrule, most commonly in caves. They will attack Link and offer to sell him items once defeated. In a few cases, business scrubs sell items that are needed to progress in the game, such as the grip ring and a bottle. In the beginning of the game, Link encounters a business scrub in North Hyrule Field, while on the way to Hyrule Castle with Princess Zelda. This business scrub says that he has a tendency to spit nuts when he talks, and that he did not intend to attack Link. So, as far as we can see, the Deku scrubs aren't really aggressive. Well, this depends if what they say is true. Now we can clearly see that at the beginning of the timeline they were quite friendly and just did their own thing. But this doesn't last long. We can clearly see this in the next game in the timeline, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Here things already started to change. They became way more hostile and seemed to be naturally evil. They primarily appear as enemies inside the Deku Tree, where they are helpers of Goma. Deku scrubs also appear in the Lost Woods, most notably in the forest stage. Here, a group of Deku scrubs will judge the face of any visitor who stands on the stage, and reward them depending on what they think of it. And a normal one also appears in the Lost Woods, making his home in the top of a tree, from which hangs a small drum-like target. If Link hits the center of the target 3 times in a succession, he will be granted a larger bullet bag. So here we start to see a difference. Some of the Deku scrubs keep on doing their own thing and are overall friendly, and the other half teams up with evil forces, assisting Goma and thereby helping out Ganondorf. But why? Well, there is a new type of Deku scrub that we haven't seen in any of the other games before. The Mad version. The Mad Scrub is a variation of the common Deku Scrub enemy, and bears foliage resembling the leaf colors associated with autumn. They appear in the Sacred Forest Meadow while Link is a child, and in Kokiri Forest when Link is an adult. Could it be that these ones turned evil or were brainwashed by Ganondorf? Is that why they became hostile? Well, it could be. They do act different from the normal scrubs, and don't even plead for mercy. They seem to be quite driven to take out Link. But the strange thing is, the ones that we see inside the Great Deku Tree don't have the same color as the Mad Scrubs. Although I have to say that this could be because they work for Goma, and maybe these scrubs aren't brainwashed, since they also help out Link once defeated. They look the same as the other friendly ones, so there must be something else that makes them attack Link. It could be that Goma forced or manipulated them, and that the Mad Scrubs are brainwashed to help out Ganondorf. After this, the timeline split happened, where Link either prevented the fight with Ganondorf, won the fight, or even lost. Now, here's some interesting things happen. So, let's first take a look at the downfall timeline where Link lost and Ganon took over. In all the games that are set in Hyrule of this timeline, we don't see any Deku scrubs at all. They are nowhere to be found. And it isn't really explained in any of the games why we don't see them. So, where did they go? Well, if we look at the place where we used to find them, the Lost Woods, they are gone and things changed a bit there. It is now the resting place of the Master Sword, it's misty, and there's even a secret hideout filled with thieves. So could it be that they left the forest because of these changes? Maybe the thieves even attacked them and that's why they left. Or maybe the presence of the Master Sword drove them away. Well, could be, but there's an easier answer for this. Ganon took over in this timeline, so maybe he just killed them all. But this doesn't make sense on the other hand, because some of them help out Ganondorf in Ocarina of Time. Well, there is another answer. Did they leave Hyrule as soon as Ganondorf took over? Since we do see them in the Oracle games. Deku scrubs are scattered throughout Labrynna and Holodrum's lands and caves. Of these 2 games, Oracle of Seasons is the only one to feature hostile Deku scrubs, and they behave similar to the ones in Ocarina of Time. Most of them are non-violent business scrubs that trade freely with Link. And these lands are all in the same universe, so they could travel from Hyrule to either Labrynna or Holodrum to escape Ganon's wrath. They even attack the same as they did in Ocarina of Time, which could also indicate that they are the same scrubs. In my opinion, this is the most likely one. Now let's move on to the other timeline, the child timeline. Here Link prevented it all by going back in time and warning Zelda about Ganon's plans. Now here we don't see them in the first game set in Hyrule, Twilight Princess, not even in Faron Woods. But then they just pop up in the next game, Four Swords Adventures, and their motives changed a bit. A group of Deku Scrubs lives in the Lost Woods stage. They were awoken from their slumber by Ganon transforming the forest into the Lost Woods. All of them look forward to the expansion of the Lost Woods to cover all of the forests of Hyrule, at which point they can travel freely. Despite being tied to the woods, they are able to travel beyond the forest using underground passageways. Despite working for Ganon, none of these Dekus will attack the four Links, and will speak freely with them, assuming that they are not a threat. So all of a sudden they returned, thanks to Ganon, and help him out with his evil plans. Now wait a second, why did all of this happen? Why were they in a slumber? Well, let's first take a look at the previous game, Twilight Princess, since there must have been something wrong with the forest. Since they woke up as soon as the Lost Woods returned. And by the looks of it, the biggest difference between the two is light. The Lost Woods are way darker and also doesn't have a light spirit inhabiting it. Apparently, Deku Scrubs need darkness to live. Another option could be the magical properties of the Lost Woods, but this is most likely not the most important factor. Ganon brought back the darkness in the forest, creating the Lost Woods. Thanks to this, the Deku Scrubs could survive and walk around again. Ganon wants to do this to the entirety of Hyrule, and the Deku Scrubs could only benefit from this, so that's why they became evil. This also explains why we usually don't see them outside of the Lost Woods in clear daylight, since they just can't handle it. We only see a couple who do that in Majora's Mask, but that's not the same universe, so it could be different there. But we do see one in the light in the Minish Cap, so maybe it's an evolutionary trait that happened over time, and now they can't stand the light. Now, what about the last timeline, the adult timeline? Here, the gods flooded the land to stop Ganondorf since Link went back in time and couldn't save the land. Now in this timeline, we don't see them, and there's a really easy answer for this. The flood took care of them. It's the only real explanation, since there are enough dark forests where they could live, and this actually might have happened to some other races too. The flood happened out of nowhere after all, and the Deku Scrubs probably didn't see it coming. Or maybe they helped out Ganondorf as soon as he returned. They have done something like this before, so why not now? And eventually met with the same fate as the rest of Ganondorf's army, killed by the flood of the gods. But what about the Deku Scrubs that we see in Termina, since they are quite different in a good way? Majora's Mask explores a different side of the species, in which they are a functioning society composed entirely of Deku Scrubs, known as the Deku Kingdom. They conduct business with the other races of Termina, and even have an elementary school that takes field trips to the office of the mayor of Clocktown. The Deku royal family is composed of a king and a princess, who are served by guards, yes-men, and a butler. However, they are also wary of strangers, and if other Dekus try to enter without permission, they usually become enraged. Now my question is, why did these Deku Scrubs in Termina develop into such an advanced race? If you compare them with the ones from Hyrule, then you can see that there's a huge difference between the two. I think the most important thing here is the fact that the Dekus in Termina unified as one big group. All the traders, normal scrubs, and everything in between. Their king leads them and gets things done. Sure, he's a bit rude and a mean person, and most of the Dekus probably get the shorter end of the stick compared to him, but it works. The Dekus aren't that smart after all and don't have a lot of needs. So I think they're fine with anything as long as they live. We also saw this with the Dekus in Four Swords Adventures. They can accomplish a lot as a group. They were treated poorly, but they got things done. But in Termina, it ended up being something good for the world. And in Hyrule, not so much. But Termina has no Ganondorf that can intervene, of course, so that helps. So maybe if the Deku Scrubs in Hyrule would unify and start their own society, they could end up just like the ones from Majora's Mask. But as we can see in some of the timelines, the Dekus don't even exist anymore. They were either killed, scared away, or simply died out. They had to endure quite a lot, and also changed a lot in the story. Alright everybody, be sure to subscribe! Haha, YouTube psych! You need to click the little bell next to it, then it will only notify you correctly most of the time, I hope. Just do that and hopefully it works. Yay!